What is going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of Bring the Juice. Guys, wanted to bring you a practice report, the first Wednesday practice report of the regular season. And it's definitely got some good news. It's got some bad news in it. So we will go ahead and hop into this thing and talk about a couple other things going on at practice. First things first, might as well talk about the practice report, the injury report. And first things first, running back Zach Moss did practice fully today. Obviously, has still been recovering from that forearm and not 100% sure on if he's going to play or not. Shane Steichen refused to answer that question. But I think we all can agree that if Zach Moss continues to practice fully throughout the week, his likelihood of playing is much higher. And especially for this week, it would be very much needed to get him in there because you're facing a Houston Texans team who struggles to stop the run. And it would be very helpful to have one of your best backs back in the game and back on the field playing for you. Another thing, two offensive linemen and a tight end did not practice today. That was a lot of you asked about Drew Ogletree, and he has been placed in the concussion protocol from what I believe. But nevertheless, he did not practice today. So regardless of if he's in the protocol or not, still had the concussion problems and he did not practice. So that definitely is an issue. We remember he got hit really hard by Cisco in the second quarter, if I'm not mistaken, of that game. So the Colts will most likely be without another tight end this week. So that will make Jelani Woods and Drew Ogletree. So then they would run with Molly Cox, Kylan Granson, and presumably Will Mallory. That I presume they'll activate him this week. So that's going to be rough. And two offensive linemen did not practice today. That was tackle Braden Smith and guard Quentin Nelson. Quentin Nelson with a toe injury and Braden Smith with a knee/ankle injury. Not 100% sure on what exactly that means for what that means for them going forward, but nevertheless, it's definitely something we will need to monitor. Hopefully nothing severe, and hopefully they'll be practicing at the end. And yes, Drew Ogletree is in the concussion protocol. I just looked it up. Going ahead and moving forward here, a couple other things that we're talking about. I just wanted to throw this really quickly out here. I know this may not really seem to impact the Colts too much right now, but the Colts have seen their fair share of players fall victim to this. Everyone has now seen what happened with Aaron Rodgers and his injury, and a lot of people linking that to playing on turf, because most people would agree that injury either would not have been as severe had that happened on a grass field rather than on a turf field. And we've seen this happen and play out a lot for Colts players as well, most notably for Paris Campbell back in 2020 when he ended up getting that tear in his knee from that hit from Harrison Smith. That was accredited by the turf because his foot was not able to move properly because he was stuck in the turf, and they made the injury a lot worse than what it should have been. So believe me, I know how it is when it comes to these turf fields. Ryan Kelly was very adamant on that, was asked about it, and he said, you can say what you want about the Aaron Rodgers injury, but Ryan Kelly specifically said, I do think guys feel like dog crap after they play on turf. So that's my stance on it. No question that that's a thing. And actually, even the NFLPA executive director calls for a move to grass fields instead of turf now. So we will see if that has any leeway. But nevertheless, we move on. Again, talked about Zach Moss. He's progressing really well. Colts head coach Shane Steichen declined to answer anything related to Jonathan Taylor. He would not say whether or not he would be traveling to Houston with the team. Now, remember, Jonathan Taylor was not with the team this last week in Indy. So if I had to guess, I highly doubt that he goes to Houston, nevertheless. So there's that. And then you talk about a couple other things. Of course, even Zaire Franklin even talked about the turf thing going on. So that was definitely interesting. I think even more people talking about Anthony Richardson in his debut. I think another thing that got brought up recently was Anthony Richardson was 71% successful in passes within 10 yards, which, if you look at it from the data perspective, Anthony Richardson was the best quarterback in the National Football League in week 1 at completing throws in under 10 yards, which is truly incredible when you think about it. That was the big question mark about Anthony Richardson, and he was the best quarterback of everyone in the league at being able to do that in week 1. So again, just reemphasizing that. Another thing is just talking about Juju Brents. He was inactive on Sunday, not for a personal matter from that week. It was actually a coach's decision. The Colts just didn't think he was ready to play in a game yet. So very interesting there. I don't know if it has something to do with Juju maybe not being mentally ready or if it was physically ready. I don't know, because we heard that same thing last year when Nick Cross they were talking about his preparation and he wasn't ready to grasp onto everything yet. Now, I don't know if that's the same case for Juju, but obviously, for as thin as you already are at cornerback, and then you saw what happened earlier in that game when Kenny Moore and Dallas Flowers went out of the game for a very short period of time. You know, they had a situation where they were, down a couple guys. So, I mean, to think that Juju was out like that definitely is a cause for concern. I don't know what's going to happen with that going forward, but nevertheless, we're going to see if he's ready to play sooner or later. But also another good thing, real quick, to end it, Anthony Richardson not on the injury report. We know we talked about that knee. Anthony Richardson did say that a day or two after the game, he woke up with a little bit more bruising and soreness than what he had felt right after the game. So a lot of the guys said, welcome to the league, Rook. This is how it works. And, of course, we heard about that knee. He went out late in the game, got hurt, and we saw he was having a little bit of soreness at that knee early in the game, but the Colts have not placed him on the injury report. So all deem in fairness, I think that we can understand that he is not totally unhealthy. So that's a good thing. He's going to still be practicing. Everything is okay. So no limitations on Anthony Richardson right now, which is a great thing. But that's going to do it for this one, guys. Let me know all your thoughts on this. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And as always, go Colts.